Hey guys, welcome to a fun lesson. This is the origin story of creation, at least according to me. So I think that at this stage in your course progression, it's helpful to have some basic context, some understanding of how these different teachings that you're studying at this time fit into the bigger picture. What is the greater philosophical, cosmological context for this? Now, this origin story of creation that I'm about to share with you is based on direct experience. It's based on meditations. It's based on readings. It's based on other people's or beings' materials that I really resonate with and have extracted things from. It is based on intuitions. It's based on insights and visions and downloads, so to speak. So here is my most complete, basic, but most complete image or overview of the origin story of creation. Simply take from it what resonates and leave what does not. And you will start to see how the different teachings fit into place within this overarching context. So, before the beginning of time, for lack of a better word, because there is no time, but before time was created, before creation was created, there was the Absolute, the One, infinity, the Infinite One, whatever you want to call it, but this is the Absolute. Okay, this is in the infinity teaching. This is what I go into. This is what we point to. This is what you will realize for yourself experientially. The One is absolutely beyond everything, beyond time, beyond consciousness, therefore beyond all experiences. It's a bit of an enigma. It's a bit of a mystery. In fact, it's a complete mystery. It's a total mystery. It's an infinite mystery. Now, the One, before it created creation, was simply the One, an infinite oneness. Now, if you imagine an infinite oneness, and the closest we can get with our minds is, perhaps for most people, to imagine an infinite space, but without all the stars, without all the galaxies, without the sense of distance, without the sense of time, without the presence of heat or cold, without the presence of even awareness of self, or I am awareness. Why? Because if you imagine this vastness with no reference points whatsoever, just infinity itself, oneness itself, unity itself. If there truly is only one, and it's one infinite being with zero reference points in its original state of unity, of absolute oneness, of absolute infinity, this one quote-unquote being, or this one infinity, cannot know itself. It does not have awareness of itself. Awareness is secondary. Awareness comes after. Awareness is a creation. So the One, in its very original state, before the creation of time, was/is, because everything exists simultaneously, is unaware of itself. Infinity yet holds the potential for every possible creation that could ever be thought into existence. Now, the very first expression of infinity, the very first creation of infinity, was that of free will, was that of awareness itself. Awareness and free will are synonymous. You see, because awareness is free will. It is the Absolute's free will. It's the Infinite One's free will. Awareness is the One in actionable form, in dynamic form, so to speak. It is the One in such a format, awareness is the One in such a format that it can, in a sense, move and focus in and out of certain things. It can move around. It can have, in that sense, free will. And at the basis of awareness lies infinite intelligence, because it's the most direct derivative. It's derived from infinity itself, absolute infinity. So infinity wanted to, in a sense, express itself, because that's one of its possibilities, and everything that can exist does exist. So one of the possibilities of infinity, of absolute oneness and unity, or foreverness, one of its options, one of its quote-unquote therefore desires, is to express itself, to experience itself, to create itself, to taste of itself, to know itself. Hence, awareness came forth out of this possibility and out of the desire for this possibility. So out of infinite vastness and union, with no reference points, no awareness of self, suddenly awareness started to arise. Free will, motion or movement, in a sense, movement of consciousness, of awareness, started to arise. Free will started to appear. The active free agent of infinity was, quote-unquote, created. Now, so we're at the second stage of creation. The first one is before creation, which is absolute oneness, absolute infinity. Now, the first step down from that, so to speak, not so much down in a negative sense, but down on the scale of absolutism, so to speak. What is the most absolute is the absolute, infinity, beyond experiencing. Then arose free will, or pure awareness. The ability, the potential for every potential experience to be experienced. Free awareness, the free agent, the ultimate free agent. Now this ultimate free agent, which at its basis has infinite intelligence at its disposal, in a movable form, in a workable form. Now, this was still completely blank. The creation did not exist as we know it, in that sense. Again, speaking in terms of linear time, just because it's easier, but it's not so much before, it's simultaneous. So on the level of pure awareness, in that sense, you could say creation still does not exist. But let's just talk about it linearly, like this came first and then came that. First there was the one, before anything else came into existence. Then there was free will, the absolute free agent, free awareness, infinity in potential, actionable form, ready to start experiencing itself. Then came about the first expression that awareness, using infinite intelligence, and the free agent has only one job. The job description is to express and experience infinity to the best of its ability, to the fullest of its ability, to approach infinity, true infinity, in experiential realms. So, in experiential terms. So to try to express infinity, which is beyond the concept of experiences, inside of or by means of experiences, is one hell of a task. Because experiences will always have a finite nature, and infinity is by definition absolutely infinite. So in order for awareness to do its job properly, it can only do one thing, and that is, if it has to use experiences, which it does because that's what awareness is for, is to experience the one's potential, the one's possibility in form, is to manifest, to create, to experience the one from as many potential avenues as possible, in as many ways, create creation in as many possible ways as it can. That is how it can approach infinity with the finite means of experience and consciousness. Hence, there is infinite parallel realities available to awareness. There's anything that can exist, does exist, precisely because it has to approach infinity by means of the limited nature of experiences. Any experience has the limitation that it is an experience. Infinity does not have that limitation. But for experience to reflect infinity, there needs to be all kinds of experiences. In fact, there has to be infinite different types and ways and angles and points of view of every potential experience. So, creation is filled with infinite possibility. Awareness, using infinite intelligence, has the potential for infinite creations in order to approach infinity so that it can do its job to reflect infinity in experience, in the experiential realm. Now, as a basis, like in order to create as many creations as you potentially can, you need a very, 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 very simple, unified basis for all of that to arise out of. If the very structure, the very underlying structure of reality itself is complicated, you cannot actually create, you cannot actually sustain infinite realities, because it would be too conflicting. It would have to go by too many rules. So the very fundamental presence of creation itself needs to be simple, needs to be unified, it needs to be singular. So what does infinite intelligence in its vast, open, still undifferentiated state create its first creation is unconditional love. Its first expression, its first basis is that of unconditional love. Unconditional love is natural. It's natural to infinite awareness. It's natural to the infinite. Why? Because there is only unity. And since there is only one, love is the natural state of awareness. Because awareness is the exact and immediate derivative or expression, the immediate expression of infinity is free agency, free will. And so in order for this intelligence to create all that it can create, it needs a foundational basis to generate experiences from. Like a potter, someone that works with pottery needs to have the substance of clay in order to make all the different pots that she can. So similarly, the free agent, the ultimate free agent, the active principle of infinity, the active form of unity of the one, needs a very simple, profound, singular basis to create everything out of. Now, this basis is unconditional love itself. Unconditional love itself could also be termed presence energy, although presence energy also includes the idea of light. But at its most fundamental form, presence energy is the field of unconditional love. So again, just to briefly recap to where we are right now, infinite vastness, infinite unity does not know itself. There's no reference point. Then in order to generate experience of itself, it generates first free agency, free will, awareness. Awareness then generates a basis for every other potential experience to be made out of. This basis is unconditional love. So we have the one, then we have free agency or free will or awareness, and then we have the field of unconditional love. Now this field of unconditional love is still, just like the previous two states in a sense, is still undifferentiated. It is still in its original form just a singular field of unconditional love with not necessarily any reference points aside from its own presence. So now awareness has created presence energy, has created the fundamental essence of all possible creation experiences. So imagine this unconditional love as a field, as an undifferentiated field of complete potential. It holds the vibration for all potential. It holds the energy for all potential configurations of energy to come out of. Now, unconditional love is invisible. Unconditional love is undifferentiated. It's so subtle because it's just one singular field and it holds up everything else. So it's not yet defined. It's not yet visible. It's not yet that experiential in a sense. It's not yet able to really perceive or create or generate experience out of itself. Not yet. So there needs to be another factor. This factor is light, in a sense. By light, I don't necessarily mean physical light, although that is one expression of light. By light, I mean illumination. I mean enabling there to be experience of the field of unconditional love. So now, the free agent, awareness, the first expression of unity, of infinity, started to work its infinite intelligence, its magic, its intelligence upon this unconditional field of love. And it generated, therefore, light. It generated light so that it could, in a sense, see what it was experiencing, so that it could make the unconditional potential field of love experiential, activated. So now we have presence energy as a complete makeup includes love light. So love light basically is presence energy, the fullness of presence energy. And now we have a complete package for creation to become experiential. We have intelligence or awareness acting on behalf of infinity to express itself in as many ways as it can to approach the infinite one. We have that intelligence, that awareness. Now we have the potential for experiences, which is unconditional love, the basis for everything else. But now we have light, which makes it all visible, which makes it all experiential, which makes it all tangible, which starts to work its magic on the field of unconditional love. So this intelligence now works its magic on the field of unconditional love. It generates light. It generates the spark of, in a sense, consciousness, of visibility. And now this visibility, this non-physical light at this stage, which also becomes physical light at some point, turns into everything that we know.